Switching over the meetings. Agency members Draymond.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Friedman.
Here. Can we have your report, please?
Agenda for the August 3rd, 2010 regular meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency was posted on Thursday, July 29, 2010 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Do we need to close the closed session? No? Okay, then what's next, please?
Next is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the minutes are approved.
That would be with your abstention.
With my...
Yes. For the regular meeting.
Noting an abstention.
Thank you. What's next, please?
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the redevelopment agency may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. And the matter may be referred to staff through the executive director for an investigation and a report. There were 2 cards submitted.
Okay, first card, Herbert Milano, followed by Mike Mohl.
Good afternoon, Agency Chair Friedman, members of the Redevelopment Agency, and city staff. My name is Herbert Milano. The Redevelopment Agency funds, or from these funds, I believe money is redirected towards other public projects, among them the Adult Recreation Center construction. And if I'm correct, some funds also go into the park development that is taking care of I believe that's the case. I don't know if I'm correct or not about that. Nonetheless, one of the things that I had been very concerned with is the ability of the public to see on a periodic basis a project plan and project execution to ensure that projects that the city undertakes, in this case from redevelopment funds, are completed on time and on budget. The Adult Recreation Center has received some adjustments to the overall plan. I believe they were approved by you. But we have really never seen any continual reports to the city that I can recall with regard to whether the projects are being completed on budget and on time. And I think that the public should have on a periodic basis some kind of report to ensure that fewer and fewer projects in the city go over budget. And another item that I want to bring up before you is a concept with regard to the issues I have about campaign contributions and actions that eventually the redevelopment agency or the city council takes. And I run across this particular document. This is the monetary contributions received by council member candidate Ara Najarian, where Mr. Najarian received on April the 4th, 2005 from SNK Glendale LLC a total amount of $2,000. Within 6 months, maybe make that 7 months, came to the agency this particular new business with regard to tentative track number 62469 by SNK Glendale LLC for 36 units on Broadway. You see, this is one of the issues that I have, and that is part of the contention that I have concerning good governance. Here you have an organization that plans to build 36 units, apartment units or condominium units, and while the candidate is running for office, the candidate receives a substantial amount, $2,000. Now, I wonder if SNK Glendale will be going to another city where there is no project of theirs and donate money to their councilman. I don't think they would do that. They will do it only because they will see that there is a potential for them to buy some influence from the potential candidate. And so that is my concern, Mr. Najarian, and that is the reason why I come here and I take a look, and I've been doing this for a long time. You're not the only one, you're correct. And it is about the way a city runs its politics. A $2,000 contribution, and 7 months later, that very same entity is asking for a decision in which this winning candidate now will have to go forth and approve a particular project. Now, maybe there is no connection here, but any logical person would agree that if 7 months after receiving $2,000, an issue comes before you where a decision needs to be made. And I think that's what we need to change. Because at the end of the day, the whole issue about running a city is about really creating a better quality of life for everybody, not just for S&K, LLC partners. It's about really looking out for children who don't have, facilities, after-school programs, and overall quality of life. And I think that is really, at the end of the day, the purpose of an agency or a city council, to improve the quality of life. Now, putting a building that puts in, 36 units creates jobs. So in a way, that is good. So by itself, it probably would have been perfectly fine for an agency to approve a project of this magnitude. But whenever you find those $2,000 back there being assigned, you figure you lost some independence, and we lose some of the trust that the people need to have, that we have a government that is truly transparent and addresses the needs of the community. Thank you.
Hey, Mike Mohl.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, Council members. Mike Mohl, long-term resident of Glendale. I'm thinking about the redevelopment agency over on Maryland Avenue again. Card clubs. Talked with some people over the weekend about card clubs. They thought it was a fantastic idea. This is, people love to gamble. If we got a survey of having a card club, a high-end one, in downtown Glendale, it certainly could complement the Americana, draw a lot of people, draw a lot of revenue for the city. I wish the city would, advise the redevelopment director to do a survey and see how the people of Glendale would feel about that. The other item is parking, free parking. I read where some of the cities along the ocean are offering free parking to encourage people to go to their beaches and use their facilities. Why don't we do the same thing for the downtown area of Glendale? Free parking. We would advertise it, let the people in Pasadena know about it, in Burbank and the surrounding area. Glendale offers free parking. Now, grant you, we're going to lose some money on the parking situation, but I bet you the restaurants will start having more business. The movie theaters will have more business. And the whole area of downtown Glendale. Why don't we experiment with that? I believe we spent about $150,000. I'm not sure the exact number. Something like buying Glendale. Is that the number? I don't know how much money it was. But I don't hear anything about it. I don't think it was very successful. So why don't we try it for 6 months to a year? Free parking in Glendale. Let the word go out. We got nothing to lose. I mean, look, every day I go down Brand Boulevard, I see empty stores. Taking a different look at parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to my colleagues for responses, I just wanted to let Mr. Mohl and anyone else listening know who doesn't already know that we do offer free parking for an hour and a half in any of the city lots. So we have that free parking. Any responses to any of the speakers?
Oh, I think my days of sitting quiet and letting Mr. Milano take his shots without return fire have passed. I'm not going to stand for it anymore, and I don't think the members of the public and the good residents of Glendale are going to stand for it. Mr. Milano, you're looking at a small piece of a big picture, and you yourself knowingly have omitted a very important part also. First piece that you should know about, and if you don't already know, is that particular project upon which votes were taken was a meritorious project. and the votes that were given by this councilman had nothing to do with any donation. And if you're alleging a quid pro quo, then I think, again, you should report that to the FPPC, to the district attorney, to the LA Times, to the Glendale News Press, to the state attorney general. But what you don't know is that that developer, and I have to be very careful because there were issues brought up in closed session, and there were requests made which would have benefited the developer to a large extent. And no action was taken in furtherance of those requests by this councilman and by the council as it consisted at that time as a whole. So I guess that kind of kills your theory. I mean, if your theory is that money buys the votes, there was a vote that wasn't bought, an ultimate vote, which ultimately resulted in the failure of the project. There is no S&K development on Broadway. There are no 36 units being built. There are no jobs being created by that project in Glendale. There are no property taxes that are being generated. It's sitting as an empty lot, Mr. Milano. And, Mr. Milano, something else that you know very well, but you chose not to mention in your one-sided and biased remarks, is that, I don't even know how long it's been, a year and a half ago, the issue of campaign contributions came before this council. And this councilman, I think along with one other, urged the council at that time to take very strict limitations on campaign contributions. I think the numbers we batted around were $250 at the time, Mr. Milano. And you know that, Mr. Milano, but you chose not to mention it, because to mention it would certainly take the wind out of your sails of your grand conspiracy, this picture that you're painting that the council members are corrupt. Because if I was in it for the money, Mr. Milano, I certainly wouldn't be arguing with my colleagues unsuccessfully that $250 should be the maximum contribution that could be made and should be made to a council candidate. So, Mr. Milano, let's see. We've got another meeting this afternoon. Let's see what other sort of allegations you're going to conjure up. Thank you.
Thank you. What's next, please?
Any other agency member or staff comments?
Okay.
Will we adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned.
Don't go away, folks.